A lot of history here in the Hallett Motor Racing Circuit area in nearby Jennings, Oklahoma, going back to the frontier days where there was some intense battling going on back then. There is here once again, and we have been focusing on the exciting progress that Ben Keating has been making as he's working around the track. But even more so, look at this, Jim Stout, that beautiful purple Viper. He has got huge pursuit right now from Von Quillick, all over him, and Von Quillick now down to the inside, and he gets a run. And speaking of runs, Ryan Shims taking advantage of that as well, and he goes through a double pass. Stout losing 2 spots on the same straight.
Well, Jim Stout didn't see that one coming, didn't realize the 67 car was coming with him, had to make room, and now he's going to observe the whole thing from the rear. Look at Von Quillick now, starting to make progress on the 33 car of Ben Keating.
Well, I wonder with Keating spending so much time sideways if he may have just abused those tires. As good as those Michelins are, you have them sideways that much, even though it isn't necessarily his fault with that potential coolant leak we're hearing about. You're still abusing them, and I wonder if he maybe just didn't use them up in this heat.
Well, he's certainly doing his best. If he hasn't done it already, he's doing his best too. There's nothing like a loose car to use up those rear tires. Tons of power, over 600 horsepower from these Viper acr-x race cars, and they will turn the tires.
Oh, and he's off! Back on, but sorry, Tom, but just for a moment there, he ran wide, and that may be exactly what we're talking about. Just not much grip left in those.
Don't forget, inside the cockpit, there's temperatures around 160 degrees. We're using up a lot of man here, not just tires.
Now Keating hard on the brakes. Big wobble right there, but he managed, it looked like, to hang on to it. Yep. But oh, and a wobble behind you see Von Quillick getting it all crossed up, and that forces Shims into the dirt once again, drops his right side tires. It is getting fast and furious here late in the going here in this 4th round of the championship, and everybody seems to be pushing the absolute edge, like you said, as Shims knifes through and underneath Von Quillick. It might be man as much as machine.
Well, when you're racing identical cars, momentum means a lot, and Von Quillick with a big lift there. I don't know if we got some fluid onto his tires from Keating's car, but that big lift gave Shims the opportunity to go by, but at least a half a mile later.
Yeah, you lose the momentum, but then, as you said, with some 600 horsepower, if you can get on the gas just that much sooner, it pays off. Shims doing that absolutely to perfection and able to knife through. So now he's the one who's going to be dealing with the back deck of Keating's very quick Viper at this point, and you can see Von Quillick dropping off just a little bit, and Shims, boy, I tell you what, this is an impressive young man.
Yeah, and now Keating looks in his rearview mirror and thinks, oh, brother, now we got to deal with this guy. Meanwhile, we'll look back from Shims' car and look at Von Quillick. He seems to have gathered up the car and is actually making up a little bit of room as he looks back to Jim Stout. There's your margin. Great racing in the middle of the pack, Greg.
Oh, and Keating has gone off, Tom. He's dropped those right side tires, came back across to the inside of the track and in traffic.
Oh, man, it's the worst kind of spin where you are completely out of control. Jim Stout did an unbelievable job of missing the number 33 car we affectionately refer to as acid colored because it's got all of the different colors of the rainbow in it. Let's take another look. This is on board Ben Keating. Just loses traction, big loop around here. He's a passenger, and watch this. Right there.
Oh!
Stout manages to get by, but that plum crazy paint, if they'd have put another coat on that beautiful Viper, there would have been contact there.
And watching everything going on with these Vipers, John Archer and the Archer family have had a long history with Vipers and now with Viper Days.
We've had, you named a couple, Bob Woodhouse, we got Rob Foster, Jason Descallos, Fred Roberts. The list goes on of people that have come out of our series. So there's 3 different levels of playgrounds that you can get into. Again, a lot of the people, if you're already a racer, you know, we welcome you to come on in. We have full professional instructors. We can literally take people from 0 all the way to World Challenge in no time. It all depends on what your talent level is and how much you want to invest in it. We've had a lot of people over the years that have thought they were doing it cheaper by having their own truck and trailer and doing their own crew and whatnot. We've actually saved them 30 to 40% on paper, and they jump at it. And you know, now we take care of anywhere from 6 to 11 vehicles per event. And again, they fly in, drive them, fly home. We take care of everything else. And this goes for the total novice that has a new Viper ACR that wants to come to the track. He can come on out, pay his money, and get in the show just like everybody else.
And the connection the Archer brothers have to Vipers is just absolutely storied. Bobby in club racing, Tommy, you remember the success he had in Trans Am, all under the guidance of John and Mike, and now John's involvement here is superb. And there is Richie Hearn, who has climbed behind the wheel of one of these amazing Vipers and has just set sail in this one on board. That's the view you like when you're a race car driver, nobody in front of you knowing you're P1.
Well, no way Richie Hearn could have the whole story about what's happening behind him. But believe me, Richie, you're glad you're out front where it's nice and safe, because it's been absolutely crazy. We knew that this series was going to be exciting, but holy smoke, what a day we've had today at Hallett, a challenging race course with an absolutely magnificent race car, and you got to comment about the durability. I mean, they've been beating the daylights out of these cars for 3 full days, and as we've said several times, it is so hot here, you quite literally can fry an egg on pit lane.
Yeah, it's just incredible, and what these cars have been able to deal with and still put out this kind of performance is absolutely spectacular. Then you put a pilote, the quality of a Richie Hearn behind the wheel, and you see what these things are capable of, and this is a great racetrack.
It really is. You know, it's turned out to be a great venue. None of us had been here for a while, but it hasn't changed much since it was built in the early 70s. And of course, the Connie Stevens and her son have done a great job preparing it. Richie Hearn ahead of an exciting AJ Morgan and Ryan Shims. We'll be back.
The history of survival in the frontier days, well remembered here in the Jennings, Oklahoma area, with some wonderful monuments and opportunities to peruse the history of people who have gone before. And you think about the temperatures and the humidity we're dealing with today, imagine that without air conditioning and all of the features we're used to. And then climb in behind the wheel of a very competitive, fast, high horsepower race car as we get the 1 lap signal to go, and you know what these drivers have been dealing with.
Richie Hearn has the spinnaker up and he's just enjoying one last lap sail around. But really the focus has been on these 2 young drivers, AJ Morgan and Ryan Shims. They're racing guys that are a lot senior to them, but they are standouts, and I think I'm excited about the rest of the year.
Boy, the way this racing has unfolded, absolutely. And let's keep in mind, Michael Von Quillick had a great 3rd place finish in the 3rd round of the championship, looking to be perhaps 4th here. So obviously some serious players, and we've had some other guys who've been fast on. We just aren't going to see the finish, or going to see the finish a bit back because of various issues. So it is going to be a great season. And Richie Hearn coming in here, he is the savvy veteran, maybe not in these cars, but in terms of racing. And even with that big lead, look at those glances to the mirrors. He wants to make sure he brings this one home.
Yeah, he's got a good margin there as he looks a couple of times, and every race car driver is going to do that. But the checkered flag for Richie Hearn, our guest driver. I'm really pleased that he came out today and came to terms with his Viper car. Here's the race to the end for 2nd and 3rd.
And it is Morgan with Shims in tow, and Von Quillick watching one bobble here, and we've seen it happen in other laps, and it could change up. Looks like everybody dials it up nicely through this time onto the front straight. Morgan brings it home in 2nd with Shims in 3rd, Von Quillick a close 4th. And here are the final standings. Hearn, Morgan, Shims, Von Quillick, and Stout brings it home in 5th. And there's Keith Verges, a mechanical issue, a broken suspension due to that contact earlier on. Here are the points, and Shims continues to lead Keating and Stout, with Von Quillick and Verges filling out the rest of the order. With that, let's get down to Victory Circle and Tom.
Richie Hearn, you came into this weekend saying that you might just get a win out of it. Made it happen.
Yeah, today was, it was the biggest difference is I got a good start. Yesterday I kind of flubbed the start, and today I just dropped the clutch and went, and I was able to pass him on the outside, and then I think he just pinched it off a little bit and spun, and fortunately it gave me a huge gap, and then I just kind of looked after my car after that, so beat the heat.
Ryan Shims said in round number 3 that qualifying was the most important thing. A little bit of practice this morning in the rain must have helped.
Yeah, I mean, this track's so tight. I mean, you can maybe pass 1 or 2 cars, but I don't know what happened to him in qualifying. I don't know if he got his rain tires on at the right time or not, but I was expecting him to be up front, but it definitely made my job easier that he wasn't.
Richie Hearn picks one off, age 39. Not bad. Well, when the cool shirt works, you end up looking like AJ here. He looks cool as a cucumber. How you doing?
Oh, I'm pretty tired after that. Wow, that 30 minutes felt like an eternity, or 22 laps, whatever we had to run. I don't know, my brakes were pretty much shot by the end, and I was just holding on for dear life. I saw Ryan coming up behind me, and I just had to hold on for dear life there to get a hold of 2nd here, so that was fun.
Did you think that when you came to your first Dodge Viper Cup weekend that you'd be pulling off a podium in your second race?
I really didn't expect it. I just wanted to be respectable and run competitive, and then I show up here the second day after some major overheating problems for the first race, and here I am, second place, so that's great.
Well, Ryan Shims, anybody who thinks a race car driver is not an athlete's got another thing coming when they look at your performance.
You know, this is a very hard-fought race. We had a little issue in qualifying. It was raining, and we didn't have our rain setup ready. Started at the back of the field, had an awesome start, made it up to third or fourth, running great, had a good battle with Keith Burgess going on. I think we tangled in, I forget the turn number, but we both kind of got tangled up and stopped. The rest of the field passes. I think I went from 8th to 3rd to last, back up to 3rd throughout the whole race. That was an incredible race. It is hot out here. Wow.
I think that says it all. It was scorching. Not just the temperatures, but the competition on the track bodes well for the rest of the season for the Dodge Viper Cup. And from the Plains to the Poconos, rounds 5 and 6 coming up from Long Pond, Pennsylvania. For Tom Natchew, I'm Greg Creamer. Thanks for joining us. Take care, everybody.